justement.
Members of the wild dog family have private lives that strike many familiar chords with our own. Close family ties, love of play, athletic speed and endurance, clear ways of expressing their feelings, plus boldness and tenacity. And when carnivore meets carnivore, dogs often have the cunning to outwit their rivals. In East Africa, dogs need all these skills to survive. On the Serengeti grasslands, a golden jackal must be alert to every opportunity for a meal. Watching its opposition is its first ploy. While the vultures squabble over a gazelle that has died, the jackal makes its move for the steal. But a jackal on its own has problems. Faced with just too many tearing beaks, it's wiser to be content with the scraps. And when its arch rival, the spotted hyena, arrives, the lone jackal knows it's time to leave the carcass to the other scavengers. It's often difficult for the little jackal to get a decent-sized meal, but it is used to snacking and can always survive by sniffing out beetles and their larvae. Dung beetles in particular are plentiful because they thrive on the droppings of the plains grazers. After the wildebeest, the second most numerous herbivore is the Thompson's gazelle, nicknamed Tommy. Its delicate size belies its doggedness in surviving as a species, though all the odds are stacked against it. For Tommies and their fawns are proverbial underdogs. They are sought after as prey by practically every carnivore in East Africa. And the gazelle's strategy of leaving its newborn hidden in the grass can lead to tragedy if the mother wanders too far to feed on fresh growth in the seasonal rains. When the golden jackal is first to find carrion, gorging is in order. For it goes without saying that there are bound to be other scavengers about, including other jackals. And when the competitor is a male, he can expect submission by a female, even if it's her find. But he too gives up possession to the spotted hyena, which not only has massive bone-crushing jaws, but single-minded determination as well. With nothing to bicker over, the male and female jackals take the time to get to know each other. They have not yet reached adulthood, but they are already foraging for themselves outside their parents' home ranges. No longer rivals, they combine forces. One distracts the hyena so it turns away from the food. The other gets ready to dart in. When they work together, two quick-witted jackals can dare to cheat the most powerful scavenger in Africa. The top hunters among the Serengeti dogs are the marbled nomads, the African wild dogs. Hunting dogs don't bother much with stalking or ambush. They charge straight across the plains. But they meet their match in the Tommy. A fit adult gazelle can run at 40 miles an hour and quite likely outdistance the dogs. And it has the bravado to show off its fitness by leaping or stotting. The dogs give up before they become exhausted. Having lost the advantage here, they must travel on to find less suspecting prey. The job of jackal babysitter falls to an older brother or sister of the newest cubs. When their mother returns, the cubs run out to greet her. They are hoping she's brought them back something to eat. It's scraps of meat, already partly chewed. From half a mile away, the male's cry is echoed by his family's howls. It's a declaration of ownership of their small family territory. When father returns to the den and the whole family is reunited, it's as if they haven't seen each other for weeks. Though life on the Serengeti can sometimes be tough for the jackals, there is always time for a playful romp. Heralding the drier season, many wildebeest abandon the plains to find water. Their slow-moving lines make an easy target. One wildebeest is singled out, and slowly but surely the gap between hunters and hunted narrows. Unlike big cats, wild dogs cannot throttle the wildebeest or break its neck. But in a pack, their combined force can be formidable. They attack from the rear, pulling on the tail, biting the legs and backside until the prey slows down and stumbles. At a big kill, there's no obvious squabbling for food. Each dog knows its place. They swallow all they can, and bring some back undigested to the pack's temporary home. At a set of dens in the grasslands, some of the females have stayed behind to look after the newest members of the pack. This young female has not yet had her own family, but she learns about motherly patience as she plays with the tiny pups. She gives up her place to the pup's mother, who is also the dominant female in the pack. There's an eager response when she coughs up some food. The little carnivores have an early taste for meat. When the hunters return, they run to greet the females. They sniff and lick each other's mouths, going out of their way to be sociable. The top female begs for some food from the top male. Another male prepares to bring some meat up from his stomach. Even though he may not be the pup's father, he cooperates in feeding them. The greetings and play help strengthen the community spirit of the pack. The mother may well have over a dozen mouths to feed. She manages to stay as tolerant as she possibly can. The two young jackals have joined up as a team. They are following a hyena that's carrying its equivalent of a doggy bag back to its den. They become distracted by an odor that one of them considers good enough to roll in. Eventually, the hyena has to stop for a rest, and one of the jackals takes a chance. But the hyena is determined to keep hold of its prize. The jackals return to a rock they use as a lookout, only to find it's been taken over by a troop of banded mongooses. Bold enough to tease a hyena, the jackals aren't quite sure how to cope with a mongoose invasion. Now that large numbers of wildebeest have left the grasslands, Tommy males put in their stake for grazing rights. Though the boundary of his territory seems invisible, the owner knows its exact line and forces the intruder back. Then, to make sure of his claim, he marks the limit with pungent urine and dung. The gazelle's droppings won't stay in place for long, though. For dung beetles are busy everywhere, rolling away the grazer's waste to bury as food for themselves and their larvae. There is competition for the grass as well. Harvester termites cut up stems to store in cellars and nest chambers underground, gathering the grass both day and night. It's mostly at night that the termite grazers are licked up by a relative of the jackal and the wild dog, the bat-eared fox. The fox's ears help it tune in to the faint scratchings of termites up to 200 feet away. Though it can catch a mouse, neither the fox's tiny frame nor its weak teeth suit it to hunt anything much larger. It's become an insect specialist and enjoys a bonanza just after the start of the next wet season, when some dung beetles emerge from their dung balls and mate in the moonlight. The foxes position themselves in the middle of the feast. As the sun rises, the bat-eared foxes return to their den, and it's the male parent who calls his cubs out of the burrow to be greeted and pampered. The mother fox is more aloof. She needs to save all her energy to produce milk for the small cubs. At only a few weeks, the cubs start to practice digging for beetles, though it falls to father to find them most of their solid food. A passing hyena is sent packing by the tiny fox. When the female has recovered from the rigors of giving birth, she'll take on her share of family duties. But to begin with, she leaves the baby care to the male. Sometimes he gets so enthusiastic that the cub has to escape from the game. He's obsessive about the dust, too, and tries desperately to keep it out of the burrow. As the day brightens, the foxes settle down to rest until it's time for another night of insect hunting on the African grasslands. A Thompson's gazelle top male has to keep a close watch on his females when they wander. She becomes fertile again soon after giving birth, so he must keep her inside his territory. Defending his rights puts a strain on the Tommy, yet he has to be alert to other dangers. This time, his high stepping led to a fall and the stranglehold of a cheetah. Cheetahs kill like the big cats they're related to, but run prey down like dogs. Vultures make their move only when the cheetahs have had enough. Hunger can drive the jackals to take on the opposition. But vultures and jackals both give way to the spotted hyenas. Despite their long faces, hyenas aren't part of the dog-jackal clan and don't have cooperative hunting tactics. When a hyena senses a kill, it barges right into the middle of the scene and may well end up fighting one of its own kind. Wild dogs, on the other hand, share their spoils among themselves, though not with outsiders. The wild dog has no patience with the persistent jackal. But there is sometimes a strange truce between the top dog and the top scavenger. That is, if they are evenly matched and each can keep a safe distance from the other's jaws. The jackal, once again, is the underdog. When the leaders of the wild dog pack return from feeding, the overexcited pups rush to greet them and to receive their portions of regurgitated meat. Now a couple of months old, their settled life suits them less and less. Soon they will become nomads and learn to perfect their hunting skills as they join the race for survival as the Serengeti's top dogs.
Well, no wildlife tomorrow night, but on Thursday at 7:30, marvel at the hunting prowess of big cats on the station that knocks spots off the opposition.